Good morning, everyone. Today, you are here to watch a reenactment of a British garrison stationed in Singapore during World War II. What you see there is a replica of a British gun emplacement that the British built when Singapore was their colony. The British chose where we are now, Labrador, due to its strategic position to position the big guns to protect Singapore from naval invasions from the south. The British placed a powerful 6-inch gun right over there.
The big gun was placed on a metal structure known as an emplacement. What was the purpose of the emplacement? It was to allow the gun to fire accurately by creating a very stable base at the bottom. This gun, together with the other guns in Labrador, formed the Labrador Battery.
The guns here in Labrador complemented another battery the British built at Fort Siloso. Do you know where Fort Siloso is? Sentosa?
Okay.
Where is Sentosa?
Well, Sentosa from our direction would be over there. These two batteries in Labrador and Fort Siloso were known as the Twin Fortresses. Their function was to protect Singapore and especially Keppel Harbour from any attack that came from the southern seas. The British military believed that it was impossible to attack Singapore from the north as it was well protected by the thick Malayan jungles, and so any attack on Singapore will come from the south, and so they strengthened the defences in the south while they neglected defences in the north.
Now, I want to bring your attention to a British garrison which was stationed here in Labrador to protect Singapore.
Attention! Squad! Forward! March! Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Squad, halt!
As you can see, the British soldiers were not marching properly. This was because the British soldiers sent war recruits to Singapore and they kept all their experienced troops back in Britain to protect them from Nazi Germany.
Good afternoon, sir. Carry on. Thank you, sir. Soldiers, carry on for your daily drill. Yes, sir. Enemy sighted!
Load weapons!
Load weapons!
Weapons loaded and ready, sir!
Now fire ammunition! 15 degrees to the right!
15 degrees to the right!
Fire!
Fire!
Enemy destroyed! Good drill, gentlemen!
Yay! You can see that the British were prepared for a seaward attack from the south. What you see over there is actually the open sea. The guns were placed to face that direction. The soldiers were trained for a seaward attack from the south. What the British did not anticipate was the Japanese would attack from the north via Malaya. The Japanese knew the British were prepared for naval attacks from the south, thus they planned to attack Singapore from the north where British defences were weak or non-existent.
Let's continue and move forward to February 1942.
Call for you, sir! Yes, sir, yes, sir! Malay regiment has fallen, sir! Japanese are arriving through Bukit Timah, sir! We'll be ready for battle! Gentlemen, the Malay regiment has fallen! The Japanese are arriving through Bukit Timah! Point a big gun in their direction!
The
The big gun can't be moved, sir.
Can't be done! Into your position!
As mentioned, the British adopted a seaward strategy that prepared the army to meet any enemy coming from the southern seas. There are three reasons as to why the big gun you see up there failed to protect Singapore from the Japanese. 1. Contrary to popular belief, this and other big guns could be moved. They could be traversed 360 degrees. However, to compensate for its stability, the British placed the gun on an emplacement which made it difficult to traverse the gun.
The second reason was that the gun trajectory, which means the angle of firing. For the gun to fire and hit its targets, it has to have a clear trajectory. That means the soldier should be able to see the target clearly. If you turn and look behind you, that is where the Japanese were coming from. The land that you see over there was a very thick jungle back in the 1940s, and that made it difficult for the soldiers to see the enemy and have a clear angle of fire.
And the third reason is the ammunition. The ammunition you see over there, those are armor-piercing shells. This type of ammunition was designed to be fired on ships, to pierce the metal plating of the ship, enter it, and then explode inside. This type of ammo has no immediate explosive effect and thus are ineffective when fired on enemy troops attacking by land.
Thus, to sum up, the emplacement, the trajectory, and the ammunition type made the big gun designed to defend Singapore from naval attacks from the south, useless against an army attacking from the north by land.
Now, let's witness what happened during the Battle of Labrador.
With their mobility and efficiency, the Japanese, under General Yamashita, defeated the British and gained control over many areas of Singapore. The British commander, Arthur Ernest Percival, decided to surrender to prevent further suffering and bloodshed. That resulted in 3 years and 8 months of suffering for Singaporeans during the Japanese occupation. It is a very important reminder to every single one of us now that we have to defend Singapore by ourselves. We should not expect anyone else to defend Singapore.
We will now talk to two soldiers to learn more about their experiences.
Why do you think the British lost the Battle of Singapore despite having many advantages?
We lost because we underestimated the Japanese. We were taught to believe that the Europeans were the superior race and the Asians were an inferior race. Thus, there was no way that the Japanese would dare to attack the British, let alone be able to defeat us. The Japanese were presented to us as short in height, buck-toothed and wearing thick glasses as they had poor vision and hence could not shoot straight. We were also told that the Japanese weapons were defective and were no match for the British-made weapons. Most importantly, we were all led to believe that Singapore was an impregnable fortress and we totally believed in this propaganda. But the truth was, the Japanese were experienced, battle-hardened troops who were very well trained for the invasion of Singapore and had very good weapons. Their military intelligence was far superior and they knew everything about us while we knew nothing about them, as we believed in our own myths about them being the inferior race. We also made a big mistake in not preparing the local people to defend Singapore until the very last minute. We could see that many locals fought with greater patriotism than the British troops, who were brought in from different parts of the empire, and therefore they had no sense of belonging to Singapore. The sinking of the HMS Prince of Wales and the loss of mainland Malaya affected our morale badly. We also did not have any good civilian or military leaders to inspire us and improve our poor morale. We had the numbers, the weapons, and many other advantages, but we did not have good leaders to take advantage of all this and lead us to battle against the Japanese.
Why do you think the Japanese won the Battle of Singapore despite all of the odds being against them?
The British underestimated us, and they were totally unprepared for our attack from the north, for they had expected us to attack from the south, and therefore had neglected to defend the north. We could advance quickly down on Malaya on bicycles thanks to the good paved roads the British had built in their modernization of Malaya. We were surprised to learn that the British thought that we could not move down Malaya rapidly because of the thick jungles there. They had forgotten all about the roads they themselves built. The British made a mistake to send their battleships to protect Singapore without air cover. This made it very easy for our well-trained pilots to easily sink their battleships. After initially underestimating us, the British began to overestimate us. They did not have good military intelligence to realize that they outnumbered us in men and weapons. They could have easily defeated us if they had good leaders who could have inspired the troops to fight, good intelligence and more experienced troops. While we were all well-trained and experienced, the British sent raw, inexperienced troops to Singapore. The British troops in Singapore lacked the will to fight, as they were not willing to fight and die for Singapore. On the other hand, we were ever ready to fight and die for our country and emperor. Most importantly, our victory was very much due to our great military leader, General Tomoyuki Yamashita. He came up with great battle strategies and tactics, and he was able to inspire the troops. He was also able to play a big bluff when we were running out of ammunition. His words and actions convinced the British that we could carry on fighting for a long time, and this made them choose to surrender. So, to sum up, we won because we were better prepared, had the motivation to fight, had a great leader, and we also won because of the British who simply lost the will to fight.
Please put your hands together and thank your seniors for the reenactment. The British and the Japanese troops are ready to be interviewed. In your groups, go and select any soldier and conduct your interview. You can also take pictures with them. Thank you very much.
1, 2, 3.